Okay, here we go. Right, now we just let that get itself started, and after a few minutes we'll turn the air on. Well, I think it's fair to say that that's well lit, so now we'll turn the air on, and hopefully we'll get to a forging heat relatively quickly. So, I think for my first real attempt at forging anything, just going to keep it simple, just do like a little easy knife blade just out of some cold rolled steel. Yeah, see how this works. Just to give you an idea of how good the insulation is, bearing in mind it's hot enough in there to melt steel, I can still, touch all of this with bare hand and not get burned. So, yeah, it's doing its job, keeping all the heat in. This is what I've ended up with, my blank. Doesn't come out too badly, but now I've just got to profile it using the sander here. So we'll get on with that next. There we are, there's the rough profile done. Now it's back into the forge in order to heat treat. So that is exactly what we're going to do. So this is the basic shape I've come up with. Just nice, simple. I'm not going to do anything too fancy. But that's now been normalised twice. It's still very, very hot. Just got to do one more heat, and then we'll be quenching it in the oil. And then last step will just be to temper it. hand sand. The most boring part ever. Right, I've got it to about 180 grit. So I think what I'm going to do now is I'm going to stick it in the oven and let it temper. And then I'll come and finish it for the final grit. I've got to get it to a 5 and then an 800. But I quite like this sort of transition from forged to shiny, so I'm just going to leave that looking quite sort of shaggy and dirty. I think it looks quite cool. So it's now quite late. The knife is now in the oven tempering, hopefully. It's in there at about 200 degrees and has to stay there for about an hour, hour and a half. If it tempers properly, it should come out like a sort of golden straw colour. That's kind of the known stereotype for the colour you're looking for. That basically is getting rid of, well, it's keeping it hard, but it's getting rid of the brittleness from hardening the blade, so it should still stay pretty strong. Strong enough that it won't dink, but also not so brittle that it will literally snap like a piece of glass. So fingers crossed that works properly. We shall see. Moment of truth. Oh, I don't know if you can tell, but that is a beautiful gold colour. Come on, focus. Focus. So I don't know if you could really see it all that well in the light upstairs, but that is an absolutely beautiful golden colour. So yeah, that has tempered absolutely perfectly. Right, back to hand sanding then. I really hate hand sanding. It's so freaking boring. So we've obviously used the belt grinder outside to get rid of the sort of forged sort of finish. We've then used this one just to get all the little dinks out that the belt sander couldn't reach. We've used the 80 grit and we've used the 180 grit to get it to a sort of relatively fine finish. And that's where we left it when we put it in the oven for tempering. But now that it's back out, we've got to give it the 500 and the 800 treatment. And then I've also bought a whetstone, which I've never used before, but hopefully, combination of all of this, we should get this thing as close to razor sharp as possible. So, yeah, with any luck, it should be quite a nice little knife by the end of all this. Just for a comparison, you can see the colour, the gold versus the silver. That's just sanded down again with a 180 grit, so I'll probably give it one more once over with the 180 and then go on to the 500, then the 800. Here we go. Insert wanking joke here. Each grit takes about an hour, so it is so boring. I know I keep saying it, but it is so boring. But only one more to do after this one, and then it should be pretty much done. Just sharpening left to do. That's the 500 grit now done. Nice and shiny. Now turned into a bit of a mirror. So we've just got the 800 to do now. There we are. That is gritted to 800. Super shiny. There's a couple of little dinks in it, which I couldn't get out, but that is, I think, as best we're going to get. It actually sits quite comfortably in the hand. That little crevice there was a bit of a fluke, but yeah, came out very nicely. So just sharpening to go now. I'm actually quite good at sharpening knives with a steel, but I'm so petrified, having polished it up to such a fine grit, of scratching the blade now. I'm having to do this so slowly and so carefully. I'm just using the steel initially just to give it a bit of an edge back, and then once that's done I'll move on to trying the stone, the whetstone I mean. So, yep, it's getting there. Nearly done now. Yeah, okay, so I got bored of being careful. Just back to getting this done quickly. I've never used a sharpening stone in my life, so I can only assume I'm doing this right. But if anybody knows otherwise, by all means let me know, because I am just guessing. So here we go, here's the finished article. Actually, quite a nice little knife. The polishing and the sharpening took about 4 hours in total, but the result is pretty impressive. Razor sharp. I'll take some nice pictures and put them at the end.